Here he is, everybody. It's Big Cat. What's happening, pal?
What's going on? I'm feeling good. You got me a happy guy. We knew we were going to be on, like 2 days ago, so we were risking having me be slightly suicidal, but it all turned in that night.
Serendipity. Yeah, I was happy to see them win for your sake and for all my pals back in Chicago. I make fun of Cubs fans and their long-suffering ways, but I'm rooting for the Cubs to get over the hump finally this year. But where was your head? Legitimately, I know you're trying to put a positive spin on it probably in the 7th or 8th inning there, and we still get the game back in Chicago if need be. But really, what were you feeling there?
7th or 8th. At the 4th inning, I was already thinking about how awful Thursday night was going to be and how I was going to just be a ball of nerves and want to throw up on myself all day leading up to, anytime you get to an elimination game, especially, I don't believe in these curses, but it also has that mojo feel, and knowing a season can end in one night, you never want to get there. And then, there's nothing better as a sports fan than have a victory out of nowhere, a victory snatched out of the jaws of defeat, where I was planning on Thursday back in Chicago. I was ready for Cueto and Bumgarner. I was ready to throw up on myself, and then boom, the Giants, water finds its level, right? The Giants bullpen is the Giants bullpen, and the Cubs weren't going to just not hit for the entire series.
I feel like I can say now, what are we, 12 hours or so since that victory? I dare say, Big Cat, that you are going to remember every pitch of that inning for the rest of your life. Those guys are gonna be heroes to you. Every guy who stepped to the plate, even Rizzo drawing the walk, every moment of that half inning is gonna be something that in your dark moments you're gonna smile about.
Let's slow down. Jason Hayward did almost bunt into a double play. So that was actually the most extraordinary thing that happened in that inning. The fact that if that throw is on the line, Jason Hayward bunts into a double play.
Yeah, and by the way, heady days in Chicago. I know now. See, now you're a New York City guy. Tell everybody you migrated from Chicago to New York along with many other high-profile Chicago sports figures. How's it going over there, Barstool Sports? Tell everybody about it because I find it to be a remarkable success story.
Yeah, so we moved the whole operation. We have cities all over, America. We have Chicago, Boston, Philadelphia, New York. And we all moved to New York. A guy named Peter Chernin bought us out of Hollywood. And we're all kind of in this fantasy fun factory with cameras everywhere, every single move taped, a little bit of Truman Show-esque. But, yeah, it's been great. And then the nice thing is with the Hollywood money comes trips back to Chicago anytime the Cubs get into the playoffs. So just swipe that card, hop on a plane, and it's time to party.
It's a business write-off. Boy, you're living the good life, man.
Business write-off. Yes, exactly.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and are you finding as a dyed-in-the-wool Chicago guy, are you finding, what's your opinion? I've always come down on all the good food in Chicago. It's ironic that deep dish pizza, slightly overrated, more of a tourist item. It's good. It's very good, but you certainly can't eat it every day of your life. And also, the wieners of Chicago are positively grotesque, in my opinion. The celery stuff and the who puts a pickle, who puts a tomato wedge on a wiener? It's a horrible thing. Are you finding the New York options a little bit better or worse?
Well, first of all, that was straight up offensive, the fact that you invited me on this and then said that about Chicago hot dogs. You probably have the taste buds of a 4-year-old, so I understand why you can't have multiple tastes at once there. I've found that New York has good food. I'm a little sick of the trash everywhere. They don't have any alleys. But otherwise, it's okay. I'm just going to say it's okay. I'm visiting New York for the next few years. Let's just say that.
And I paid a visit to the Pardon My Take podcast a few weeks back and was attacked when I paid a visit that way for washing my apples. I like to take an apple. I like to rinse it off a little bit, not because for sanitary reasons. I like the little it makes it feel extra fresh to me. I'm not going to apologize to you or anyone else for doing that, but you take a hardline stance against such behavior, right?
You're the type of guy who spends his whole life worrying about, if I go outside, I'll get hit by a bus. If I do this, it's dangerous. The whole world's a scary place. The people out there who don't wash their apples, those are the people that live on the edge. Those are the people that are ride or die, live fast, die young. That's how you find out if someone, burns the candle at both ends, so to speak. Do they wash their apples?
I mean, I like the spirit of the sentiment, but like I say, I'm just dolling up the experience for myself,
Safe. You're safe. You're a safe guy.
That's not at all what I'm saying. All right, we're talking to Big Cat of Barstool Sports, and
let's have 401k or something. Like, you're that safe.
Listen, I'm on the national radio and TV sweating up a storm. How safe is that, fella?
Oh man, that's fantastic.
Let's talk a little bit about. All right, Chris Law. You want me to ask him about Jay Cutler? That's an attack. We're talking about the Cubs. We're having good times here. Talking about fresh produce, and you want me to throw Jay Cutler into the conversation?
He's not our quarterback anymore. It's Brian Hoyer. So I don't even. What are you talking about backup quarterbacks at this point for?
Yeah, but aren't you pro Cutler camp? Like whenever
I am.
He comes back.
Yes. I'm okay. So I'm pro Cutler in the fact that the quarterback position in the NFL is garbage, and everyone talks about how the NFL, the quality of play is down. It's because of the quarterback position. I think Jay Cutler is still a top 15 guy, and these guys that Chicago does this thing where we get Josh McCown in or we get Brian Hoyer and we say, oh, this guy, he's great. Jay Cutler's better than both of them. Now, his contract, his guaranteed money's up after this year, so I'm assuming the Bears are going to walk away from it and try to draft someone. But the fact that people think, just looking at the landscape of the NFL, name me a name of someone who is better than Cutler that you can bring in. You can't. That's more an indictment on the quarterback position. But that's why I've always been the pro Cutler.
Well, the indictment is that Brian Hoyer has played a little bit better than Cuddy did when he was
against the Colts. Come on, I mean, Cutler wins that game. That's the point. Is like the Colts defense is worse than the Bears. That is an awful defense. They had plays where they just weren't even lining up, and the Bears were scoring touchdowns. And then you see it at the end. Hoyer had a very nice game. He didn't make a lot of mistakes, but at the end of the game, he's got wide open Alshon Jeffrey in the end zone, and he just doesn't, he doesn't read it. So. The Colts game, I want to see them, and they're playing the Jags this week, so I want to see them play a couple teams before we start saying Brian Hoyer, a 30-year-old backup, career backup, is somehow the future.
Well, yeah, shame the devil if management gets duped into trying to retain Hoyer for any amount of time. I suspect that they're going to go after one Jimmy Garoppolo, the handsome devil who's backing up
Chicago native.
12 now. But you know what? Now I don't feel bad that this is what's going to happen to you after your senseless attack of me a couple of minutes ago. You know what's going to happen to you? Jay Cutler, New York Jets. He's gonna be living in your area code in about 6 months or 8 months from now.
It does feel like it's going that way, and I'm okay walking. I'm pro Cutler in the past. I understand that the Bears have so many problems that they need to start fresh on basically everything. So I would love for them to get Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know if that's going to happen because I'm sure the Patriots would take like 1,000 first-round picks and the Bears would get fleeced over. But I'd also be fine with them trying to draft someone. The biggest problem the Bears have done is you see this with all these guys, these fourth-round, fifth-round guys that are contributing to NFL teams. The Bears haven't been drafting quarterbacks. Every draft you should take a quarterback. And you should take a guy, even if it's a late round, who can possibly be that guy. The Bears are instead getting these backups who are like 30 years old, 34 years old, and saying they're playing nice. Well, that's fine, but they're not the future. You need a guy you can build around. You're
so right about that. Dak Prescott was sitting out there. I as a Steeler guy, I really wanted the Steelers with the third-round pick to go after Cardell Jones. That way,
right.
Who would know what would be right now if Cardell Jones was in there behind number 7, getting groomed over the next couple of years? But what do we see, Law? You took us down this rabbit hole of football when we have Cubs. We got to talk.
Be my day.
That's exactly right.
You took it down the road.
What did you do? Yeah. Did you get wild last night? And well, more importantly, let's look forward here. And I made my jokes a month ago and 3 months ago at all my Cubs fan friends about things. But I'm not trying to lay down any kind of pox or curse if anybody believes in that. I want the Cubs to get over the hump. I'd like to see it. I would say 3 of the top 20 days that I've had on the planet Earth have been spent in and around Wrigley Field on glorious summer days. So I want to see the Cubs get over. Is there a team? I know that you never answer this if you're on the team, but you're not, Big Cat. Do you have a foe you'd like to see in the next round?
I was thinking about that. I don't I think both teams are pretty flawed, and anything can happen, obviously, in the baseball playoffs because it's just weird and quirky, and you never know what you're going to get. But the Cubs are better than both the Nationals and the Dodgers, and I'm confident in that, and they're better than them in every single category. So I guess maybe I would rather, Scherzer maybe scares me a little more than Kershaw in the playoffs. Now, Kershaw, obviously, regular season is a different story, but I'd take either or. I think both teams are beatable, and the Cubs. I was confident going into the Giants series. Obviously, my confidence wavered a little bit there last night in the fourth inning, but I do think the Cubs are the best team still remaining.
You know what? I agree with you as a man of justice. I don't like this extra round of the playoffs. It's the nature of the sport shouldn't allow for an extra round of the playoffs. So I'm glad you moved.
Wait. At what extra round? You mean the one-game wild card game the Pirates lose every year?
That's the Pirates special.
I wonder why you don't like it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wonder why you don't like it.
I got another attack from Big. That now we have his true character has been revealed. Now that he's riding high, we can see this is a sneak preview of what Big Cat and Cubs fans are going to be if they get the whole thing.
If Big Cat really wants to put you down, Big Cat, what's your take on Primanti Brothers sandwiches? Primanti Brothers.
Okay, so when we were in Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh's a gorgeous city. Had a lot of fun there. We went on the Grit Week. We went there. Good food, good sandwiches. We kept on hearing they're great when you're drunk. And when someone tells you something's good when you're drunk, it's probably not the best when it's sober. So, I actually think that sandwich is kind of like deep dish, where you were saying deep dish is a little overrated, and it probably is, but it's one of those things that if you have it once a month, it's great.
That's exactly right. I apologize.
Eat it every week, that's a problem. Right.
I didn't mean to diminish deep dish pizza. It's delicious. Yeah, it's just not unlike every other pizza. You couldn't eat it every day of your life. Either way, Big Cat, appreciate the time, fella. Muzzle tov on the first round victory. We'll be rooting. I think most of America is going to be rooting for the Cubs to bring this one home there. Go get the Kershaws or the Nats. I will say this. I don't want to plant this in your head, though, Big Cat, or for Cubs fans. But it's got to be the Nationals, and here's why. If somebody is going to vanquish the Cubs, it's not going to be the Dodgers because they have too much history and a legitimate and deep fan base. The teams that knock the Cubs off on the way to the World Series are these soulless teams that have like this tepid fan base. It's the Marlins. It's the Padres. The Nats fit into that. So I think the Dodgers are actually the better foe for you.
Okay, that actually makes sense. I'm going to agree with you there. See, we can still be friends.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to go eat an apple. You do the same. Pardon my take, the great podcast. We were going to have PFT commenter on with him, the co-host, of course, another big digital star out there.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.